Today we're going to talk about circumference. We're in the unit of geometry, and today we're going to talk about circumference. So circumference is the distance around a circle. So it is actually the distance around the circle. So here we have a picture of a circle and the different components. So here you have the center, which is the dot. The radius is the distance from the center to any point. So this here is the radius. I could draw the radius to be here. I could draw it to be here, here, or anywhere where it's the center from any point. Alright? The diameter is the distance across a circle through the center. So here would be my diameter. It goes all the way across the entire circle. So just as the diameter is here, this also can be my diameter. Now, regardless of where the diameter or the radius is located, it will still be the same measure. So when you're trying to find the circumference of a circle, there are two equations. The circumference equals pi times d, or diameter. Or you can use circumference equal to pi r, which is 2 times pi times the radius. Now when you're talking about pi, that is represented as the numbers 3.14. Any keywords to know that you're supposed to look for the circumference, they might say find the rotation, how much something goes around something. If we want to put string around a tree, you want to see how much string is needed, you need to find the circumference. Also, the distance around something. So, of course, the object has to be circular. So, once again, you have two equations. When they give you the diameter, you use c equals pi times d. And when they give you the radius, you use c equals pi times r. So, first example. You have diameter equals 3.75 feet. By now, if you know me, if you've watched enough videos, you should know that I always start with the equation first. So they're giving me the diameter, so that's the equation that I need to use, the diameter. So C equals pi times D. I do not know what C is. Pi, as stated, is 3.14 times the diameter. So the circumference equals 3.14 times 3.75, which gives us 11.8 feet. This is rounded to the nearest tenth. We want to round this to the nearest tenth, which means one place after the decimal. Now we have diameter equals 5.1 milliliters. If you feel that you have it already, great. You can pause this time. If not, we can work it out together. We're looking for the diameter, so the first step, we need to write the equation that has the diameter in it. So that's C equals pi times D. We do not know what the circumference is yet, so we're going to keep the variable. Pi is 3.14. D is 5.1. So C equals 3.14 times 5.1, which will give you 16, because we're rounding 16 milliliters. We're rounding to the nearest tenth. If you notice, I have the unit of measure attached to it. That is very important. So number 3. Here we do not have any words. We have a picture. So radius is here. Now, just as we did the other problem, I want to give you something quick. If I write radius and I write diameter, you will notice that radius is smaller than the diameter. So that means the radius here is smaller than the diameter. So that's just another way to remember which is which. So radius goes through half of the circle and diameter goes through the whole circle. Because radius is smaller, so that line is going to be smaller. So here we know this is the radius. So we want to use the equation that has the radius in it. So C equals 2 pi r. Once again, this is 2 times pi times r. So C equals 2 times 3.14 times 5.3. And we want to multiply them 2 at a time. 2 times 3.14 is 6.24. Want to bring down what we did not use. So when we multiply those together, we get 33.3 because again, we want to round to the nearest tenth. So the circumference here is 33.3. Now, a couple of word problems. A Ferris wheel has a circumference of 226 inches. What is the radius? So here, we are doing something different. We are not finding the circumference. They asked us to find the radius. First things first, we still want to start with the equation. So, which equation do we need? C equals pi times d, or C equals 2 pi r? We need C equals 2 pi r because we want to use the one with the radius. Now, fill in what you know. Do we know the circumference? Yes, it says that the circumference is 226 meters. Then we bring down the 2. Do we know what pi is? Yes, pi is always 3.14. Do we know what r is? No, that is what we are trying to figure out. So we still can solve this. So we need to bring down 226 and multiply 2 times 3.14, which is what we did here. We'll get 6.28 r. Now we have a one-step equation. Since r is being multiplied by 6.28, we want to do the inverse operation and divide on both sides of the equal sign by 6.28. This cancels out. We're left with r equals 226 divided by 6.28, which will give us it'll give us 36 if we round to the nearest tenth. 36 meters. Number 5. A CD has a diameter of 120 milliliters. A UMD has a diameter of 60 milliliters. Compare the circumferences. So in order to compare the circumferences, first we need to figure out what each circumference is. So we're going to start with the CD. Of course, we want to label it so we can know which is which. The diameter is 120 milliliters, so we know we need to use the equation with diameter in it. So C equals pi d. C equals 3.14 times 120. We get C equals 376.8 millimeters, I'm sorry. It's not a drink. Then we have UMD. Same first step. Write the equation. Then you want to fill in everything you know in the equation. We do not know the circumference. Height is 3.14. The diameter is 60. That gives us 188.4 millimeters. So the circumference of the CD is 376.8. The circumference of the UMD is 188.4. So compare the two circumferences. All right, so when we look at the CD, we know that it is larger than the UMD, but how much larger or bigger is the CD? All right, if I look at it, I see that the CD is twice as big as the UMD. All right, so with that being said, I can just say that the CD is 2 times the UMD. And I know that because if I divide the CD by the UMD, that's 376.8 divided by 188.4, that would give me 2. So I know that the CD is 2 times the UMD. Or you can say the UMD is 2 times smaller than the CD. This is circumference.